This content does not take into account your investment needs or personal circumstances. It is not intended to be viewed as investment or financial advice. For more financial information, please visit milfordasset.com/getting advice.
Kia ora and welcome to Laugh My Assets Off. Now, last time we were talking about KiwiSaver, but this time we're zooming out to the macro of investing, and we want to help improve your barbecue chat because Lord knows I never know what to talk about when I'm with a bunch of guys flipping steaks. Joining me are two people who are so good with money. I call them the Cash Whisperers, Caitlin Parker and Liam Robertson. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming back and wearing such bright clothes for this one. Because I think we're going to be talking about some quite dark topics, so it's a good contrast. We've obviously talked about KiwiSaver and different types of funds, but there's so many things that we can't control out there. Talking about inflation, interest rates, the OCR, the World Bank, the effects of world war, the inevitable heat death we're all going to face in these climate crises, the Dancing with the Stars voting results that we can't control. I went in order of least controversial to most controversial there. Do you guys watch Dancing with the Stars?
I do.
I voted for you.
Thank you so... Really?
No.
Yeah. I knew it. Now, whenever there's unrest in the Middle East, people talk about the price of oil going up. And when Russia invaded Ukraine, I read that wheat prices would rise, and because there'd be less of it getting exported, this would affect global inflation. Why?
You know, there's all these things that you read about and it sounds extremely complicated and, you know, very convoluted, but it really comes down to a really simple thing, and it's supply and demand. And it's the same for absolutely anything. If there is less supply than there is demand, the price is going to go up. If there is more supply, less demand, the price is going to go down. So, you know, just like anything, say those trains that you love, there is 3 of those trains and there's 10 people that want it. You know, the price for those trains are going to go up. Now switch it, there's 10 trains, but unsurprisingly, there's only 3 people who want it.
1, 2, 3.
I'll let you guys fight over the third. That price is going to come down. So it's similar to what we're seeing in the world events in terms of oil. If the threat of supply of oil, if that becomes a concern, you know, sometimes you see a bit of an overreaction, but you see prices go up because there's still the same amount of people that, you know, need to heat their homes, etc., and need this oil. So it really comes down to supply and demand. And when one exceeds the other, that's when you do have an impact in terms of pricing up or down.
Now, I don't want to sound like I'm making everything about me, but why does war in other countries far away make it more expensive when I want to pop out and get a cheeky toasted Sammy?
So if you think about oil, you know, the price of oil is going up. That means that everyone's having to pay that excess for the price of oil. And also it's what we call inflationary. So the prices are going up and you're going to feel that impact because whoever's making your sandwich is going to have to pay extra. So then they're going to pass it on to the customer who's buying their sandwich. And you, are the end customer, are essentially paying for that rise that we're seeing.
So it's not about the oil that the sandwich is being cooked in, right? This is about the oil and the planes that are flying the sandwiches around.
Look, you can look at it whatever way you want to look at it, but essentially someone has to pay for it. If prices are going up, you know, I own a shop, I have to pay my staff more because wages are going up. You're going to need to pass those through in order to still be profitable.
I know the global wheat shortages are driving up inflation, but I find that when I cut out wheat, I feel less inflated. So how does that make sense?
I mean, I'd talk to your dietitian.
Okay. I'd have to hire a dietitian first, I think. So what else causes inflation? And do we ever get like deflation, both in terms of money and in terms of me after I've had some gluten? Yeah,
look, inflation, you know, prices do go up certain periods and then we do have inflation coming down, so your deflationary environment as well. And, you know, a lot of factors go into it. If we take New Zealand, okay, so we import a lot of things. So we are reliant on whatever the prices are offshore. That has a massive effect. So, you know, the price of oil going up, commodities going up from offshore, that has an impact on New Zealand. But there is a certain portion of inflation that's generated here in New Zealand. So, you know, there is external factors that come into it, but if you keep going every day to buy that sandwich and it's, you know, keeps going up and it's a crazy price by the end of it, but you're still spending on that sandwich. You're adding to this inflationary environment by continuing to pay the price.
Wow, I'm part of the problem. People don't love being told not to spend money though, do they?
They don't. This is how the Reserve Bank of New Zealand stop inflation, how they curb inflation. So the main tool that they use is by increasing the official cash rate. And the reason they do that is because they want people to save more and spend less. So this is the number one way that they can fight inflation. So if last Christmas you were disregarding what they said and disregarding the prices of everything and just tapping your card away, you know, that inflation is not getting better. It's still there, because if you're still paying some ridiculous amount for the sandwich, you can bet that the shop owner is still going to charge you for it.
And maybe put the price up.
Exactly. If he's like demand, or he or she is like demand is still there, here comes Eli, you know.
But the sandwich is so good, Caitlin. How can I stop? We're talking about a theoretical sandwich here, but I'm imagining it's pretty good.
I mean, I imagine it is, but your bank balance potentially could tell you to stop by actually
being empty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, getting to the end of the week and realising that you've no money for petrol because you spent a ridiculous amount on your
sandwiches.
On your sandwich.
On a Reuben. So, the official cash rate, the OCR, it's in the news every other week at the moment. What is the official cash rate? Like, what does that mean in terms for a stupid person like me?
So, it's a benchmark rate. So, it's essentially the Reserve Bank of New Zealand is the bank for your ANZs and your BNZs, etc. So, just say you and Liam are going
So they're my bank's bank?
Exactly, your bank's bank.
Okay.
So just say, you know, you and Liam are going out for dinner and, you know, Liam's not paying.
This is huge for us.
Big.
We only just met the other day.
Bit of role play.
Well, it started with role play.
Yeah. And Liam decides that he's not going to pay for you. You're going to go 50-50. So you're with a different bank to Liam. You transfer him over the money. You know, I suppose, do you ever think about how that money gets transferred over when you're with two different banks?
I just thought it went through the air.
Yeah, well, it actually goes through accounts that are with the Reserve Bank. So they set the official cash rate, and that's the rate that, you know, banks can essentially borrow and leave their money with the Reserve Bank for. So you can imagine if the Reserve Bank are increasing the official cash rate, it's going to cost the bank more to borrow more. So someone's going to have to pay for that. And that's, again, your end customer. So you're going to pay for it in terms of your mortgage that you want to borrow off them. That's going to go up.
Wow. Well, this actually really cleared a lot of things up. So when I'm like taking out my mortgage, my bank is checking their bank balance and being like, oh, I'm going to have to make some more deposits and withdrawals to the Reserve Bank.
Yeah, so I think we need to come back and, you know, why do the Reserve Bank use the official cash rate as their main tool? And again, the Reserve Bank, their job right now is to make sure that inflation is stable. So it's, you know, not too high, not too low. They target about 2%. So the way that they do that to ensure that they do their job is that official cash rate. Okay? So if they want people to stop spending and they want inflation to go down, they increase the cash rate. And the same when they want inflation to actually increase. So if it's running very low, and we have had periods in the past where inflation is barely non-existent. So if they want to get inflation to, you know, come up and prices to increase, they will have the official cash rate. They'll lower it down. So it will give people that bit of a kick to, you know, go out and start spending because they're getting nothing in terms of saving their money.
Why would you want inflation to go up?
Look, it's having inflation within their target band. So it's 1% to 3%. So 2 is the midpoint. So if inflation is running below where they want their target, that's when they want inflation to go up. And it's all about having that stability, you know. They want supply and demand to meet, and it's where it's the best outcome for any economy is when you have that equilibrium.
I think it also means that if you've got a wee bit of inflation in the economy, it means that money is being spent. True. And if money is being spent, then that means that goods and services are being produced and sold and people are being employed. So it's just general health for the economy. If you have low or no inflation, it means that everyone's sitting on their cash. You know, no one's going and buying sandwiches, no one's going for meals out together, like you and I.
That amazing dinner we're going to have.
And so that's quite a depressing economy, really. Nothing's happening. So it's about striking a balance, as Caitlin said.
Nice.
It does take time. So, you know, you raise the official cash rate. it takes time for that actually to hit your pocket, because you probably have your mortgage, locked in for a year or two. You won't actually really feel the pinch of that until you refix your mortgage on a much higher rate, and then you have to pull back. You don't have as much spare income to go out and spend as you want. So it does take time for what the Reserve Bank is doing to curb inflation, to bring it back down, to actually flow through the economy.
Wow. So they really are changing that, being like, and that's going to hit you, and then you're going to spend less.
Exactly, and that's been one of the problems. Is it has been taking longer than they anticipated to hit your pocket or mine. And one of the reasons for that is people, rightly so, when rates were close to zero, they made use of it and locked their mortgage in for 2-3 years. So it's only kind of the last few months and into the next few months that people are really going to feel that pinch.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be really feeling it around April. We've seen mortgages go from sort of 2% to 4% to 8%, because that's like doubling it, right? Is it going to go to 32% and then 128% and then 512%? Is it going to keep increasing like that?
Look, very, very unlikely we're going to get to levels like that. But you need to remember that when we had very low rates, that was, unfortunately, for people with big mortgages, that was abnormal in terms of economic cycles. So with an economic cycle, rates do go up, but they also come back down as well. And if you look historically, take the US over the last 50 years or something, when they stop increasing their interest rate, on average, it's only about 4 to 5 months before they start cutting their interest rate again. So it does look all gloomy. Interest rates are going to go higher at certain points. They're also going to go lower. But you have to remember, your mortgage is for what, like 30 years? So you are averaging this out over a longer time. And unfortunately, you will feel the pinch worse than other times.
Yeah. How reliant are we on the US? Because I heard that the US debt is now $31 trillion, which is like, if I was even $1 trillion in debt, I reckon I'd be pretty worried.
Yeah, look, that sounds like a huge number, right? Like, don't even know how many zeros would be in that. But it does get sensationalized as well when, you're reading different headlines and stuff. And you need to think about that number on a relative basis. What's the amount of assets in the US worth? Multi-trillions. So it is all relative. And also when you're looking at the debt, yes, it is increasing. It's making a new record high. But as an economy, as a country gets bigger, it is going to have higher amount of debt as well. So you want to be looking at a country's debt and looking about, are they going to be able to repay their debt? And right now, US, it's in great shape. It's, the biggest economy out there. And there's no concerns that they're not going to be able to repay it as it stands.
True. Does New Zealand have a worrying amount of debt, or are we doing okay?
We are doing okay. So very similar to majority of developed countries around the world. Our debt, yes, it is increasing, and post the pandemic, as a lot of governments, they did what they needed to do in order to get us out the other side of the pandemic. But when you look at our debt as a percentage of the economy, or gross domestic product, what we're able to produce, it's still very, very manageable. It is increasing, but very, very good starting point. And if it is to increase, you need to look at why is it increasing? Why is the debt increasing? What are they spending their money on? Because anyone here who drives around Auckland, if that money is being spent on additional infrastructure that's really going to benefit cities around New Zealand in coming years, then you could argue that that's actually a really good use of debt. It's investing in your future.
It'd be good if we went on trains, but I don't think it's going to go on any trains. Just for me personally, and
Just
also just people getting around.
City Rail Link.
City Rail Link, yeah, that's coming.
You'll be the first passenger.
Yeah, I'll be right on there.
Yeah.
And the light rail if it ever happened. R.I.P. Liam, should I have a rainy day stash of cash kind of hidden under my mattress? Especially because in Auckland we've had about 300 rainy days in the last year.
Yes and no. You should have an emergency supply of cash somewhere, not under your mattress. Your house could flood and it could all float away, but also it's not generating any return for you under that mattress. So it's a really good idea to have some money in a savings account or a short-term deposit or a cash fund. There's plenty of different options available to you. And what I actually encourage people to do, there's a great book out there, it was written by an Australian bloke called The Barefoot Investor, and he talks about emergency funds, and he actually calls them his mojo fund. Because having some money stashed away for a rainy day gives you mojo, it gives you confidence that no matter what happens, what's around the corner, you need some new tyres on the car, the washing machine breaks down, you get made redundant, touch wood, all of those things, you've got mojo, you've got confidence that it's not going to be a deal breaker for you. You're going to get through it. So I thought you'd like that.
That's good. Yeah, it was very Austin Powers energy for me.
Yeah, there you go.
I was like, I didn't realise that's why Austin Powers acted that way. It's because he's saved some money.
He saved some money. He's read the book, I think.
Yeah.
Are you going to read the book?
I'm going to watch Austin Powers.
That's a start.
Yeah. Now, I met a guy at the gym who told me that he works full-time in crypto. Is it actually possible for that to be a full-time job, and is it a good idea?
Yeah, look, there's jobs for everything and anything in the world right now. And, is it a good idea? It depends if he's good at it and he's well-informed and educated in the space and has a good investment process in terms of how he thinks about it.
I feel like crypto seems like a strange thing to be investing lots of money in, but is there actual money in crypto?
Yeah, look, it's a lot of people are invested in crypto, and also it became kind of the it thing to invest in a few years ago when it started to make headlines. But it's again about understanding what you are investing in. I don't know anything about crypto. I'm in no way, even half an expert in the field, so I would never myself invest in it because, again, don't understand it, haven't put in the time to do it. But if you understand what you're investing in and have a good knowledge of it, then potentially there will be reward for taking the risk.
Are you an expert in crypto?
I'm not an expert in crypto, but I think just as a general rule of thumb, I think Karen's right. You should only invest in what you understand, but also just think about diversification. So if you were going to perhaps invest some money in crypto because you were curious about it, you want to learn more about it, or you actually know a lot about it and you think there's some real value there, I wouldn't be putting all of your investment into crypto. I'd be just treating it as part of your portfolio.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so we kicked this episode off by talking about improving your barbecue chat. We have talked some big topics, but what are some other interesting money topics that I could bring up when I'm cooking steaks with the boys? I've never done that in my life, but
I think when you're at barbecues, particularly in New Zealand, everyone wants to come over and start chatting. First of all, it's always about property and how little they bought their house for and, what it's worth now. But also another thing is, someone will come over to you and be like, oh, guess what? I made this investment and I've made 300% because, I'm a genius and I can predict everything. Like, yes, that's fair. You probably got lucky and made that one call, but that person's probably not telling you about the 10 or 20 bad investments that they made as well. So it's also, taking everything with a pinch of salt. When someone comes over to you and tells you that they've found the next best thing, don't be led down the garden path about it. Think yourself, be independent in your choice, and also just be rational. Who is this Bob that's telling you about the best thing that he's found? What research has he done?
Was he even invited to this barbecue?
Yeah, who is he?
Roll up.
Who's Bob?
Who is this guy?
Yeah. Get rid of him.
He's not. This was just a family occasion. Yeah. He just burst on.
Bad chat. See you later, Bob. So it's just being aware as well. When people talk, they do tell you about the good things, and sometimes people exaggerate a lot. And also sometimes when you hear people talking about different topics, if you start to question, what are they saying? Oh, I don't understand. Maybe they're actually saying something incorrect. I've been at some barbecues where I hear people talking about, what's happening with the economy or this or that. And, it's just chat. There's no substance to it. So don't think you're going to a barbecue and meeting with an investor or financial advisor just because there's some person that's talking very loudly about a great win they had on the share market.
Yeah, true. They're actually just your Uncle Steve.
Yeah.
He doesn't really know that much.
Just looking for a bit of airtime.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you guys today is about, there's these big scary things that happen in the world all the time, and we could never get any sleep and spend all this time worrying about it. But there are reasons to be cheerful, right, Liam?
Look, there's always hope, there's always reason to be cheerful. If we look back over the last 100 years, there have been countless world events, wars, pandemics, recessions, certain political things as well. All of these create volatility, but with volatility comes opportunity. And just because something perceived as negative happens, it doesn't mean that it's negative for everyone. So if we look at the high interest rate environment at the moment, that could actually be a great thing for banks because banks are able to pass those interest rates through to their clients. So you might consider investing in a bank. If we think about COVID, it was great for healthcare providers because they were able to sell a lot more of their products and services than they normally would be able to when there's not so many people in hospital, right? So there's always opportunities no matter what the market's providing to us. And as long as we've got time, then we can take advantage of that.
Oh, thank you so much for that very positive perspective. We're going to be back with Laugh My Assets Off. Next time, we're talking about how to build your portfolio. Thank you, both of you, and we'll see you next time.